So it's pretty common for autistic people to struggle with burnout. Today I'm going to share a new strategy that I've come up with, a new recovery cycle that is working pretty well for me so far. Hi everyone, Paul Mikolev here from Autism from the Inside. I make weekly videos sharing the human side of autism, so make sure you hit subscribe to get the latest content. Part of this video was sponsored by short form book summaries. See the link in the description to get 20% off an annual subscription. So it's no secret that a lot of us in the autism community struggle with burnout, struggle to find a balance between following passion, following energy, getting really hyper-focused on something, and actually prioritizing self-care at the same time. I know for myself, I find it really hard to get going in a task. So once I'm finally there, once I'm finally in the mind, I've got my mind frame going, I've got my headspace in the right place, and everything is actually working, I don't want to stop. I want to keep going. I want to leverage all of this energy that I've used to get the train going, like to think about like a huge, massive momentum that I have to push and push and push until eventually I've built up some speed. I don't want to have to stop. It's really hard to come to a complete stop and then rest and then do something else and actually let my body and my brain recover. So what tends to happen is I end up being a little bit binary about the situation. Either I'm super hyper focused on something, going full speed ahead on my projects, burning myself out at a rapid rate, or I tend to be completely off, not doing anything at all and finding it really difficult to maintain the everyday kind of executive function of just getting stuff done from day to day. So that pattern is also replicated in the binary the binary pattern is replicated in the burnout cycle, because when things are going well, I'm functioning really well, and then when I run out of energy, suddenly I can't do anything at all, which is kind of what we call burnout, where it's not just being tired, it's being completely incapable of doing basically anything for a period of time. So that crash can be pretty intense. And for a long time, I thought, well, maybe that's just part of the process. Maybe I'm supposed to burn out every week and crash and then have to, recover by doing nothing for a while. And what I found is that when I tried to put that into practice, it didn't quite work, because I would work and work and work and then crash, and then I would be so ready to get back into it, so eager to get back into work, to start up the project again, that I wouldn't give myself enough time and I wouldn't have efficient and effective rest, which means that I would burn out quicker and then quicker and then quicker and then quicker, which is the big problem, because that leads to long-term burnout. If I don't ever fully recover from my burnout cycle, then it leads to a chronic cycle of burnout, almost recover, burnout, almost recover. And it's like you're building up a sleep debt or something, that it just builds up and builds up and builds up over time. And then what happens is we can have a huge burnout period. And maybe you've come across that in your life. It's quite common, especially for late diagnosed autistic adults, that sometimes the reason we discover the autism is because of a massive burnout, which is kind of unfortunate. So that is kind of like a chronic inability to rest. And what I was trying to do, you may have seen my video on my strategy to go 12 months burnout free. What I was trying to do was have like a mini burnout every week, so that I would completely crash. I would have my downtime every week so that I could fully recover and get back to 100% on a regular basis. And so this is working reasonably well, but there's been a new development in this new burnout cycle that I've discovered, something that radically increases my recovery. So the key is that I need to be fully recovered. I need to wait till I'm fully recovered before jumping into work again. And what I found was that my old strategy was work, burnout, crash, work, burnout, crash, work, burnout, crash. So I read a book recently, well, reread, I suppose, technically. It's a book called The Gifts of Imperfection by Brene Brown. You may have heard of it. It's a very famous book. I highly recommend that you take a look if you haven't already. Or if you're the kind of person that really appreciates good summaries of a book, you might like to check out the short form app with the link in the description. Not only do books have one-page summaries, but they also summarize each chapter as well. So the specific chapter that really spoke to me this time around is guidepost number 7. She has 10 guideposts for wholehearted living. That's kind of the framework of the book. And guidepost number 7 is cultivating rest and play, letting go of exhaustion as a status symbol and productivity as self-worth. And when I was reading this chapter, what really struck me was that, yes, I rest kind of, I crash, I don't do anything, but there was something missing in my rest cycle, something missing in my recovery cycle. Where was the play? How does play impact my recovery? And what is necessary about that I was kind of missing? So as I said before, previously I was kind of doing work, burnout, crash, work, burnout, crash. And what I've learned to do now, instead, to try and incorporate what I was learning from this book into my life, is that I work, crash, rejuvenate, and then recover. And so I'm still incorporating like a crash kind of sorts into my routine. And for me, that crash might look like sleep. It might look like a power nap. It might look like zoning out, or what I call zombie mode, where I'm kind of physically present, but my mind is just not doing anything. And I will do that. I will zone out. I will, I don't know, watch something on the internet, or do a puzzle, or do something else that is really like a distraction, just getting my brain to go from work mode to nothing. And I'll do that for a little while, but then I need another step in the process. So my next step is my rejuvenation step, and to get energy, I will do things like I will go out, I will join a meetup group, I will go out with friends, I will do a sport, I will go to the gym, I will go rock climbing, I will actually actively do something in terms of some active recovery there. And what I find is, again, this is a secondary stage, getting my brain out of work mode, but I'm also tiring my body out at the same time. So it's still not that restful in that sense. And then I will add the play aspect. What is play? Well, for me, play is the ability to follow my energy without any, I should be doing this, I'm not spending enough time on this, I need to do whatever. So instead of doing what I think I need to do, I can do whatever I want. I can be alone if I want. I can do a hobby if I want. I can read a book if I want. I can create an Excel spreadsheet to solve the daily Wordle for me. That's not a joke. I actually did that. Right. So these are the kind of things that I actively do in my playtime that help me to reset my brain, so that when I get to the work part again, I've had a full recovery cycle. So I guess what I learned from this chapter, from the Gifts of Imperfection, is that rest and play are both kind of important in the recovery cycle. So it's not just a matter of not doing work. I need to actively do something that's playful and creative and interesting for me, so that I can get back onto it. So crashing is in itself not recovery, but you might notice that it's still part of my recovery. So now, instead of thinking, oh, it's the weekend, I have to go out, I'm like, no, after I finish work, I'm allowed to crash and do nothing for a little while as part of my cycle. So This has been working really well for me in the last little while. My goal is that whenever I crash in the week, it might be on a Wednesday, or it might be on a Friday, or it might be on a Tuesday afternoon even. If I have run out of energy for that week, then bad luck. I am resting until Monday the next week, because I know that if I don't rest properly, then I'll build up this debt of rest and recovery that just hasn't built up, and that will eventually lead to long-term burnout. So I really would like to avoid long-term burnout. It's been really challenging, especially with COVID in recent years and lockdowns in Melbourne and everything. So now that I've got a slightly better schedule with gym and friends and other things that I can actually leave the house and do, then incorporating play into the schedule, into this new and improved recovery cycle has been really good. So I hope you found that valuable. I would highly recommend the entire book of Gifts of Imperfection, and basically every other book that Brene Brown has ever written. Big fan here. But again, if you prefer the kind of detailed summary, then maybe you'd like to check out the short form app. So thanks for watching. I hope you've enjoyed this video, and I will see you again next week. Bye.